Frame community, what is going on? Jordan here, author insights. If you guys have purchased any of our content in the past, you would know that with every series, we create a short clip, usually 7 to 9 minutes, that kind of describes the series, what it's about, why it was written the way it was written, and how you can best use it in your context. And obviously, this year with WLD Volume 1, we have the honor of having a diverse group of writers, urban practitioners around the country that are doing the work. And out of that, they've shaped series to offer to us to help us do ministry where we are. And so one of my good homies wrote the You versus You series, Sean Nelson. Sean, what's good, boy?
Hey, what's up, bro? Thanks for having
And
me
so yeah,
on, man. Let's
yeah,
talk.
man.
Let's talk.
I'm
Let's
super
get to it.
excited. Let's do it, bro. Super excited to have you on. Grateful that you wrote that series, first of all. And it's a pretty unique series. We've never done anything like this before. We've never had a series that talks specifically about physical fitness.
Yeah,
So if you would just for a minute, just wrap on like what that means for you personally, and
sure.
then why it's even important for us to engage that with our youth, right?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, bro. Love to talk about this subject, especially in the urban context.
Mm,
I'm urban from the hood, Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, and competition had always been a part of my lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like competing, being number one, and even if you ain't number one, even if I lose, I'm gonna lose really good. You know what I'm saying? And so, um, I just think competition is deeply embedded in the urban setting, and that's not a
mm,
bad thing. That's a healthy thing. There's a lot of
mm,
survival stuff, and that's in me as well. And I just I've been bodybuilding, been kind of lifting weights, been competitive all my life. Football, track, basketball. As you get older, you look for things that's less impactful to the joints and something that you can actually do a little more with a little more longevity. Um, and so I got into bodybuilding about 4 years ago, like competitive bodybuilding. And it started out as a bucket list item, man, and now it's just my lifestyle. It's something I
mm.
do. Um, I don't even want to say I do on the side. Like I do this every day. Every day I'm thinking about my health. I'm thinking about my next competition, which I have one this year. I qualified last year for a national show. And now I get to go try to earn my pro card, be
That's
a
dope.
pro, yeah, in IFBB Pro, which is kind of like the top of the line bodybuilders. But bodybuilding was a challenge for me, man, because I was in this crust of like being mediocre in fitness, of like just going through the motions in fitness, and then going, hey, could I take this up a level? And that's what
Mm,
I did in competitive bodybuilding, man. So this is a lifestyle for me. I did it for me. I did it for my family. I did it for in an urban setting, especially the black community. People love saying the adage that black don't crack, but
mm.
I believe it does on the inside. Um, and if you're not careful, you'll look at the external and equate it to internal health as well.
Mm,
Um, and so, what I wanted to do was just do my best to take care of my temple as best as I could and push myself, man, challenge
mm,
myself.
mm,
So, fitness, man, is bodybuilding. I train people as well because I want people to really, the fitness industry oftentimes has a lot of myths out there. So, oftentimes, when you got somebody you trust and and that
mm-hmm.
not only trust and know, but actually has proven. My competitions, I go from 200 pounds to I hop on stage at like 160. And so I drop weight, but yet I maintain my muscularity. And so um, I want people to embrace that and embody that and see that for themselves, man.
Mm. No, that's good, bro. Yeah, I think about. I mean, obviously, I was a college athlete once upon a time. Although I would say I'm not in the best shape right now. I got some work to do. You know
Was
what I'm
that a
saying?
quote unquote?
Yeah, 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 definitely. Um, but like the discipline that I've learned from being a college athlete, or the discipline that I've learned from, um, going to practice every day and all those different types of things, and how that's translated even into my ability to try and do what I'm doing right now, right? To
Yeah,
to
yeah,
build this organization and to do ministry in the way that we do it, and stay disciplined, stay consistent, stay focused. Um, Physical fitness, like building and developing that discipline, can have massive ramifications for our spiritual life, right?
yeah,
And I think as I think about this series and what it means for young people, I think that's like at the heart of what we're getting at, right? Like if you can discipline yourself physically, it's going to help you discipline yourself spiritually. And also, it's going to allow you to be a better disciple. Because if you're healthy, right, you're going to have more energy to engage people. You're going to have more energy to spend time with people.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to invest your life more into the lives of others. Um, and so, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
First thing pops in my head is, when you get on a flight and they tell you they give you the rundown of how this flight is going to go and how to take care of yourself in the event that something happens. The first thing they tell you is a mask is going to. This is how your mask comes down. Put yours on first,
Mm,
so that you can have some wherewithal and you can help out if need be,
mm,
and you can get to safety. And I just think that what you're talking about, what you're implying, is the same thing that we talk about in flights. To take care of yourself is you got to take care of yourself. You get one temple, you get one body,
mm.
and we need to take care of it, man. And so to talk spiritually without talking physically and
Yep.
naturally is a
Hmm.
misstep. I think we need to
That's
talk
good.
about both. We need to talk, when we talk spiritual, we're also talking about this body,
Hmm.
although it's perishable, and we will gain the imperishable one, 1 Corinthians 15. But I ain't there yet. I ain't on that side of the Mississippi. I'm on this side. I'm
Mm.
on
That's
this
good.
side of heaven, man. And so I need to be a good steward of the one I have so that I can run well. I can have energy and I know how to take care of myself. And I think if I know how to take care of myself, I think I know how to take care of other people.
That's
If I
good.
know how to discipline and with restrain from certain things that are unhealthy, I can also encourage somebody else and be an example to others to
That's
say,
good.
hey, this is what's a little healthier for life, whether that
Hmm.
be physically, financially, spiritually. So I just think for this series, it was rooted in learning how to take care of yourself and not comparing your journey and your walk to others, but just looking at yourself and taking a examination as to what you eat and your rhythms and your habits. Like um, all that is encompassed in this series of challenging you versus you. Before we look out and go, I'm better than so and so. You have no idea what so and so has going on in their lives. How
Mm.
about we pay attention and we put a microscope on our own habits, our own lifestyle. So, which is actually sometimes in the urban setting, we're so communal that we don't look at ourselves at times.
Mm.
We
That's
we
good.
we're so communal that I remember growing up in the hood of Detroit and was always looking for my where the bros at, like where my group at, and doing things with everybody, and then creating social norms because of my group setting. If everybody ate hot chips and Doritos, it's okay if I do as well. But if I separate myself from my social norms, I can actually see that some of the things that we choose to eat and do and live may not be the healthiest.
Hmm.
Although it's accepted by many, it may not be healthy for me. And so this series was all about challenging those ideas and
Yep.
challenging those habits.
That's good. And I think too, I think it's important to recognize a couple of things. One, like, you're bodybuilding. There's a unique group of people that do something like that, right? So everybody isn't going to do that, but you
Yeah.
can go on walks. You know what I'm saying? You can go join and play an intramural sport or whatever. You can, make sure that you're exercising. You can, take cold showers. You can. There's all types
You
of things
can
that you
drink
can do that have
water.
help. Exactly. You can drink water. You can choose to eat the healthier chips instead of the less healthy ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and I think too, like, I think of all the things that people would say to push back maybe on some of the things that we're saying. Like, you talk about the concept of food deserts in the urban context, right? Like, it might be harder to get healthier foods and different things of that nature. And I would say, like, all of those things may be true. And yet, I think within the choices that we have, we can still make the healthiest ones possible to us,
Yeah.
accessible to us right now. And I think if we have young people who start to think about these things now, then what happens is they start to think about those things as it pertains to their future, and
Yeah.
they start to become a part of like decisions that they're making in terms of where they want to work and where they want to live and how they want to live and those types of things, right? Because then it's like now I'm thinking about, okay, I need to have access to these types of resources, or I need to have access
Good.
to this type of food, or
Yeah.
like what does it look like for me to plan for these things to happen, or what does it look like for me to be the person who says, yo, I'm gonna go build a grocery store.
A community
It,
garden.
exactly.
Yep.
Now we're going to go ahead and address the issues that need to be addressed in our context,
Hmm.
which I think ultimately, like to some capacity, is what needs to happen, right? And I
Yeah.
think this generation is primed for something like that. They're ready to take action. They're ready to do something that really could have like a redemptive impact on their context. And so I think if we talk about these things and then present these types of ideas to them, bro, they'll go get on YouTube, they'll go study for a bunch of hours, they'll go find the resources and the
They
grants and all
will.
those different
They
types of things,
will.
and then they'll go build the thing, and then we can
And
just support them in that process.
to that point, I was as a youth pastor. Just recently was a youth pastor at a really large church here in Houston, and I think I was there for 4 years. And in the 4 years, I did two competitions. I think so. They saw me go from really big and putting on weight and all that, and then they saw me cut. And um, I dedicated one of my shows to my youth. Like, hey, this show is for y'all. Like, I'm going to win this one, and I did. Shout outs to Outbreak. And I won, and it was a lot of fun. But the ripple effect of that was I started getting youth saying, Pastor Sean, can you write me a meal plan? I'm trying to get a little
Mm,
bigger. Hey, Pastor Sean, can you? I'm headed off to college. I just graduated. I don't want to gain that freshman 15. Like, what are some things I can eat as a college student? As I don't have access to groceries. I can't cook in my dorm. What are some ways that I can, kind of meal prep that is safe? I started seeing the youth like take on this responsibility and this ownership of their health.
mm,
And it's just to that point. I know what I did is an exception to the rule. Like, bodybuilding is not for everybody. It's something I think everybody should, just because it pushes your journey a little bit more.
mm-hmm.
You may not be trying to win like I am. I'm just competitive like that, but I think a lot of people should push the limits of what they can achieve so that
That's
they
good.
can look back and go, I did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, but to that point of me being an example, like I said earlier, I did this bodybuilding sacrificially, like literally, like it's hard. When you're in a deficit and you got 1,500 calories to your brain cells and you struggling to think. I did this because I wanted to be an example of sacrifice, of discipline, and it worked, man. Like, a lot of the youth took on some of those ideas, and they weren't so grand anymore. It was like, this Pastor Sean, he's a normal dude, he's got a family, he's our youth pastor, he's at our camp hanging out with us, he's joking, he's preaching, he's teaching. Nothing's weird about bodybuilding. Nothing's weird about not just bodybuilding, excuse me. Nothing's weird about taking care of your health.
That's good.
Like, I wanted to normalize what it looked like to go, you don't have to be an IG influencer to take
Mm,
care of your health.
that's good.
You don't have to be a paid personal trainer to say, I want to watch what I eat. You ain't got to be a nutritionist to do that.
Yep.
You just need to see it works, it's beneficial to you, and then the benefits that come for you and those around you when you take care of your health.
That's good.
So it's a bodybuilding. Yes, it's an exception. It's an exceptional feat and accomplishment and pursuit. But it has the basis of something very essential and something very elementary of just taking care of yourself and
Yep.
and,
It's good.
and working hard and denying yourself, which are
Mm-hmm.
holding yourself accountable. Um, which we lack in this culture and this society, just accountability. Like,
Yep. 100%.
taking account what you're eating and how it's affecting you. Like, just the adverse of me taking care of my body and I get healthier and stronger. What is the lack of health and the lack of um, nutritional diet doing to our bodies and to our minds?
Mm,
Are we, when too much sugar's in the body, all these things that are negative for us, how are they affecting us? Yeah, they're good to the palate and they taste really good, but they're causing a lot of toxins and a lot of different things. And I can go on and on about that stuff, but
mm-hmm.
this series, man, the You versus You, was all about trying to help urban youth. I didn't go deep into a diet and nutritional plans, but just more theological concepts and then practical concepts and practical
Yeah, throwing out some small
some
ideas that they
small
can kind
things
of
of
engage
like,
with.
yeah, hey,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
you
yeah.
might want to adopt this based on this biblical truth.
That's good. Um, yeah, that's good. There was something I was thinking about, but I can't remember. I'm sure it'll come back to me in a minute.
Yeah,
But
it's a lot.
let's dive into
It's a
week
lot here.
one.
Yeah,
Week one, design masterpiece. You kind of talked about this idea that basically our bodies are a masterpiece by God, right? You use Psalms 139 to kind of describe that. Talk to me
yeah.
a little bit about that. What was your thinking process as you were kind of creating that lesson?
You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, I think for me, it was that recognizing before you do something external, we got to recognize the internal truth of how
Mm,
beautiful and just intelligently we are designed.
mm.
Um, and that we have somebody who loves us, and God who has designed us and created us didn't create us. What is our purpose? And what is that behind that? And so the first one, design masterpiece, was just getting really about dignity. Personal dignity and embracing who you are and through the lens of Christ and through the lens of what the Bible teaches about you, not what society has said about you, not what culture says about you, which can be very confusing at times. But really getting down to this idea of like, I have an intelligent design of who I am. Now, how does that live out and how does that play out, and living from that?
That's good, bro. Yeah, I think that's really important. Like understanding, because I think once again, it would be real easy for people to just be like, why are you talking about health in this context, right? But helping people understand, like, yo, like the body is of great importance to God, right? Like Jesus comes in a body, resurrected in a body. We're judged for the deeds in the body. We're given new bodies at the resurrection.
Yeah.
Like there's all these different ties to the body in Scripture, and like you said in the beginning, like we don't have to like the physical isn't divorced from the metaphysical, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
spiritual, and
yeah.
so they're very much intertwined. And actually, Christ is reconciling those two things to Himself
Hmm.
and restoring the fracture of those two things that sin created, right? And so um, I think it's really helpful and important for us to talk about these things and also help youth recognize, like, yo, I can honor God by taking care of what He's given me. And what He's given me is a body.
Yeah. And this was the first. I think the I remember correctly. The first one, design masterpiece, was directly to combat social media pressure.
Mm, yep.
Our teens, in and day out. You got YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. They ain't on Facebook. I don't know
Facts.
what
They
else.
not.
Snapchat is been RIP Snapchat. I don't know if they still using that or not, but
They
they have
do, just not for
constant,
nothing good.
yeah, not for nothing good at all. Um, but they have constant filtering and editing of how
Mm-hmm.
people look and appear. What they post, there's so many edits that go behind before they even post. And so I really wanted to combat that all your flaws, your crooked teeth, your one ear that's bigger than the other, your small clavicle that doesn't let your shoulders be broad as the next guy, like all those things are beautiful, and
Mm.
they actually are what make you unique. They actually are what make you have your own fingerprint. You and I, as much as we're brothers, man, we got a lot, we think a lot alike, and we have some disagreements on who's a better football team and basketball team.
Stop it. Cut it out.
um, we still maintain our uniqueness, and that's what I wanted youth to get in design masterpiece week one, is that I wanted them to just sit and be like, wow, I am really like otherworldly, and really embrace that, man. I think I did a series one time with youth, and I can't remember. I know I'm about to misquote this, but I do remember that if you combined all the human organs and everything that's inside of you and calculated its worth, it's like $8 million
Mm.
for the human body alone. Not only if we added in how intelligent you are, that would tack on another 10 million. Not only let's tack on how much you can physically achieve, like run the
Mm.
distance and lift things up. That would tack on another $10 million of worth and value. So that every individual is like worth $30 million. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had to put a value statement and a value
Yeah,
label
monetary value.
on
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah,
monetary value on it, like you are priceless. And that's what I wanted the youth to get. That was just week one, bro. Like
that's
you
good.
are priceless, man. And you got to start seeing that and lift your head up, lift your heart up, lift your chest up, lift your future up, lift your perspective up. Although you might be in a context that has a lot going on around it, like I was, had a lot going on. But what kept me from looking at my surroundings and dilapidated homes and homelessness and drugs and gangs all around where I grew up, it was my identity. Like I knew it was my sense of self worth. Like I knew who I was, and I had been taught that by my parents in church. Um, I was taught that, and I believed it.
That's good. That's good, bro. Week 2, fueling your temple. What did you get into in week 2?
Um, Week two was about really like fueling your temple. We literally got into the nitty gritty of like um, what you need to fuel your body. I didn't. I wish I would have created like an everyday meal plan for youth. We might do that in the future. And you can hit reframe up, hit myself up. We'll definitely got a way for you to get a meal plan. But it was actually about the nitty gritty of like eat this, not that, but not trying to focus on restrictions,
Mm.
not trying to be restrictive, but actually freeing in what you can eat and why you should fuel your temple. So it was a mix of what and why. Why you
That's good.
should eat this for your fuel, that you can actually have endurance, whether you're doing acting, cheer, debate, like all of those things require energy and the right amount of energy so you can perform at your best. And when you perform at your best, you're confident and you're proud of yourself. You
Mm.
walk away going, man, I may have lost, but I gave my all. Versus knowing you left some in the tank or your tank was halfway
Empty. You
empty when
didn't
you
prepare
started.
well. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Nothing
saying?
more
So
frustrating.
yeah, that's frustrating, and that creates a habit. Like, man, I'm never you, and you have a choice to make to examine how actually you live when you go to these opportunities of output and these opportunities to prove yourself in a sense.
Yep. That's
And
good.
you get to walk away knowing I had a test and I prepared well, I fueled myself well, and I can't I don't own the results, I own the work.
That's good. Yeah, there's a couple of things I think about. Like I always tell students from a mental health perspective, 4 things you need to do: sleep well, you need to drink plenty of water, you need to eat a balanced diet, um, and you need to move your body every day. And so, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about like there's the mental health implications of not exercising as well and eating poorly. Like those are
Yeah.
2 massive factors in what's going to affect your brain, its capacity to do what it does, your ability to sleep well, and how like I mean, if we don't sleep, we die. That's how important sleep is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think people underestimate the importance of those things. And then the other thing I'm thinking about too, which I think we didn't state, but it's important to overstate. What's really interesting is more and more young boys in particular are experiencing body dysmorphia, which is crazy to think about, right? Like
It's
it's
crazy.
usually
It's
something we've
crazy.
traditionally associated with girls, right?
Yep.
And whether that's right or wrong, that's just how we've thought about it.
Hmm.
And so I think with in an age of social media, right, where we have all these influencers who look incredible all the time, and obviously we know that if you pay attention on social media, they're all doctoring their pictures, or they're all lying to us
Hmm.
and making their bodies look symmetrical when they don't. Um, that is really affecting young people's psyches. And if you are not grounded in who you are in Christ, right? In on both sides of it, right? No matter where your body's at right now, it needs to
Yeah.
be, hey, I'm grounded in who God says I am. And the reason that's important is because if you go do all this stuff, but you do it from this place of trying to find my identity, you're going to be as lost as the person who's on the other side who does none of it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
man.
so the central thing has to be like, yo, God made me, God loves me, he calls me beautiful. He says that the way that I am designed is the way that he wants me to be designed. And yes, there's this thing called sin that's messed up some things, but even in the midst of that, I'm walking with him. I can honor him with my body and what I do with it and what I put in it and in how I live. And
Yeah.
that is central to this series.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the beautiful thing of Christianity. People think Christianity is like so restrictive
Mm,
and so handcuffing, but it's not. It's actually freeing. Like,
mm-hmm.
it is
Liberating.
central to Christianity that your body now belongs to the Lord. Romans
Mm-hmm.
6, right?
It's
Most
good.
people would look at that and go, it's my body. But it's like, is it? And we all know that you were born some way, and God, through his divine mercy and grace and miracle, you were born. So therefore, we understand that physically you were born, and then redemptively in salvation, we become a new creature in Christ. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not just spiritual, that's also physical.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way we offer ourselves to God. Romans 6 is that, do you not know that your bodies, Romans 12, that present your bodies as a living sacrifice.
Yep.
Like, it,
Your
it
reasonable
this
worship.
is your reasonable act of worship, is to present your body. And
Mm,
it's like, man, Lord, I get to give you me the same way you did for me. You can do that. It's actually doable to give yourself to the Lord. It happens over time. It's not a one time thing that you just go, man, everything I have is yours, Lord. Like, we learn through trial and error. Like, when we give our bodies to certain things, we go, I gave my body to this and it destroyed me.
mm,
Like, I gave my body to this and I was sick for 2 weeks.
mm,
I gave my body to indulgence and Twinkies and cookies, and now I got ulcers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gave my body to these things, and so I'm trying not to be too spiritual, but try to make it physical and practical as well. But I just think that's the central idea behind week 2, is fueling your temple, is understanding that it's actually freeing to give God your body. Why? Because you're actually now giving your best to God, which
mm.
makes you live for your best. Like, I want to give God my best, and so therefore, let me take care of myself in the best way.
That's
Um,
good.
and I think we do the same in every other entity in business, in trying to get our money right, get the bag. Like, you ain't gonna chase the bag in flip flops and swim trunks. You know what I'm saying? If you show up to a meeting in flip flops and swim trunks, they're gonna be like, "Are you serious?"
Mm-hmm.
But if you come correct and you come with that experience and you come dialed in, then they'll see that they'll match energies. And I just think this feeling your temple is matching energies. Like, God gave His temple, let's match His energy and give Him ours.
That's good. Week 3, master your mindset, Christ-centered perspective. This was good. Like, what was your process as you kind of created that week?
Oof, oof. I mean, I think this is right in line with the mental health conversation.
Mm,
Um, really settling in and trying to get them to take on, like Colossians says, take on the mind of Christ. And I think that's your thoughts on yourself, your thoughts about this world, and your thoughts about who God is. Those three things are so critical and essential for the rest of our lives. And
mm,
if teens can get that now, that what are my thoughts about myself? What are my thoughts about the world around me? And what are my thoughts about God? They come out very healthy,
mm,
very aware of themselves and their surroundings. And so this one was just about the internal battlefield of the mind, of the voices that we hear, the limitations we put on ourselves, and there is just thoughts. These aren't limitations that you've actually come across, and they've held you back. Like, these are just things you've thought about, and it's like the elephant who if you raise an elephant with a chain on its leg and then you remove it, they'll always think that there's a chain,
Mm-hmm.
and won't go any further. And I think this one was that challenge to um, that we could challenge some of those mental patterns that urban youth often face,
Mm.
as they're marginalized and don't have a lot of resources. Sometimes that feels like I'm not a resource. I can't provide anything. I have nothing to offer. So it's really the challenge of some of those patterns of mental health challenges, because we can't talk you versus you without talking the mental health capacities that our youth
Yep.
have.
100%. That's good. Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, man, mental health is central to everything. I'm reading I actually got it right here. I'm reading The Anxious Generation right now
Mm,
by Jonathan Haidt.
I got that.
And
I got that in the queue.
yeah, bro, it's phenomenal what he's talking about. And he's tying a lot of concepts together that I've been thinking about. And like it's what's going on in these young people's minds and how they perceive themselves and how they perceive the world around them is having massive implications for how they live in it, right? And so I think we got to acknowledge that, in and engage that mental health piece
Yes,
in as
bro.
many different ways, as many different touch points, as many different directions as possible. Like it's so essential. It's just one of those central things that we're gonna have to talk about
It
now.
is,
Like,
man. It is, and it's part of it. Like the negative self-talk, um, what these youth are facing is in the patterns of our society. Like I said, the limitations, man. Like we want them to be limitless. Limitless um, with some modesty and practicality, but we want them to be limitless, man, because we need that. We're
mm,
going to need that in the next generation in this economy. Starting businesses, we need them to have this limitless mindset.
it's good. And then last but not least, you talked about unleashing your potential. You called it you versus you, unleashing your potential. How did you kind of wrap up this series in week 4?
I really thought about my own personal journey in this one, where I really, as a lifting weights and going to the gym like a gym goer every day, I kind of was maintaining status quo of like, yeah, I'm in the gym, I'm doing chest today, I got legs tomorrow. Um, there was no real breaking point. There was nothing. There was no transformation. And one of my favorite quotes, I think I made this up, is that transformation is contagious.
Mm,
And this unlocking your potential was really about allowing them. I want to challenge youth to see themselves and transform, and what that could be like. What could it be like if you broke your own personal records? They
mm,
talk about in the gym all the time, PRs. Like I hit my PR today. Uh, kind of to that point of what you said earlier. Like in the gym, I've noticed so many boys, like you said, with body dysmorphia. Um, I think it's a two-edged sword that they see themselves as small, but they don't see what they can actually become. And I think unlocking your potential was that challenge to personal achievement. But it's not against other people. It's you versus you. Like, can you, in this one, I can't remember. I think in this one, I talked about switching your dopamine effect, of where you find, um, pleasure in success. And I
mm,
think teens right now, some of the dopamine hit is being able to like, tag, and share. Like I
mm-hmm.
had a ton of people like my post. You actually, it's okay for people to like your post. That's why you posted it. Like, hey y'all, I was in Cabo with my wife just recently, and I posted it. Like, I want people to see what me and my wife are doing, and I want challenge them to, hey, go on vacation with your wife and your spouse. Um, so the feeling that you get from a like is not wrong, but if it stays there and it's your gratification, you have now switched how dopamines actually work. And so one of the things for me was unlocking your potential. One of the major challenges was, um, are you satisfied with just results, or can you be more satisfied with work?
Mm,
And that work is actually greater than results. Results you can't always, like when I do competitions, man, I get in some of the best shape in my life, and but I'm not always the winner. I look good, and I know I look really good, and I put in the work, but I'm not always the winner. And so one of the things bodybuilding actually taught me was that it's actually not about winning.
Mm,
It's actually about getting on a stairmaster and staying there. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
good.
Like it's actually about refraining from Chick-fil-A all the time and making my own healthy Chick-fil-A at the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like it was about the work. And you know what's crazy, Jordan, is I fell in love with the work.
That's good.
I fell in love with the Stairmaster. Like
The
people are
process.
like, yeah, the process. Like I think Nick Saban said it best. He's like, man, I don't teach out my team, Alabama. I've never taught them to love winning. I taught them to love practice, to
That's good.
love the work.
The
If you do
process.
that, you will push out 5 national championships. All right, however many he has. He might need to go back to Alabama, but that's another podcast. That's another
Get
podcast.
out of here.
But Nick Saban said that, like, I don't teach them to love winning. I teach them to love the process. And
That's
that's
good,
what
bro.
this taught me. And so unleashing your potential is really not about what you can achieve. It's actually about falling back in love with work. Um, and I think sometimes in the urban community, we go through so much suffering and they go
Mm,
through so much pain and so much transition that they try to fast forward and get to the end where I'm making money and I got I respect and I got the love and I got the community and the network.
mm-hmm.
But this is about not fast forwarding through that pain, but also learning through the work and the process and not um, sabotaging yourself with shortcuts.
That's good.
So unleashing your potential, man, was like learning how building habits, healthy habits, and then those healthy habits will turn into consistent results.
That's good, bro. That's really good. Yeah, it kind of brings it all together. Um, Two more questions for you. And I'm going to ask a question and then give my 2 cents on it because I think it's important. What do volunteers and leaders need to be thinking about during the process of the series? And the thing I would add here is it's okay if this challenges you too.
That's where I was about to go, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think the danger, should I say danger? Yeah, let's go danger. The danger could be that I would avoid this series because it exposes me as much as it exposes my kids.
Yeah,
And I think what this series actually does, which is really cool, is it's an invitation for the community to be a community and for the youth leaders to say, like, yo, I got to grow in these areas too. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. I
Hey,
think it would
like,
be like to that point. I think it'd be really dope if like a youth group did a 5K together,
that'd be
or like
sick, bro.
that'd be sick. Like if a youth group saw this series and was like, all right, y'all, like a volunteer would challenge the youth to go like, hey, come up with three um, health challenges that we're going to do as a youth group.
Yeah.
Because to that point, this isn't something that you stand up on a pulpit and point fingers at the youth and go, y'all are on social media too much. Like, so are we as adults.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Facts.
one of those series that we do it in community, and all
Yep.
of it is all a reframe. All every all the series are about what do we do as a community.
Yep.
Let's have a conversation about health, a conversation about how you perceive yourself and how that plays out in the way you live your life and your habits and your lifestyles. Um, as a youth worker or a volunteer or a youth pastor, youth leader, speaker who's using using Reframe, whole life discipleship, you versus you series, this would be one of those ones where you actually are very honest about
Mm.
your own walk with your personal fitness, because I think a lot of those it prompts you to tell some personal stories
Yep.
of health, like whether it's been good or it's been bad, um, and that actually creates more trust within your youth group, because it's easy to talk sometimes spirituality, like y'all, I'm loving God more, I'm forgiving people. Like I can't really tally how many times you forgave somebody. Like I can't really show that off, right? But I can in your health.
Mm-hmm.
I can see. I love y'all, but I can't see when you're letting yourself go. and it's all
Facts.
ministry and no boundaries of taking care of yourself and saying no and stopping and going, hey, I'm going on the Sabbath.
And that's,
Like,
bro, that's interesting because, like, think about it this way. And this, I I'm telling youth I'm blessed and highly favored and everything's all good. And in the past 6 months, they've seen me put on 20 or 30 pounds. So am I telling the truth?
facts,
Do you know what I'm saying?
facts.
And
Yep.
they might be like, okay, bet. Like, I see that you're saying that, but like, bro, you look depressed. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying?
Yeah.
You look like you've been going in on too
Yeah.
much fast food. Like, what's good? You know what I'm
What's
saying?
good? What's good?
Um,
Yeah.
and once again, if we're a true community, I know that's like hard. And I know in our culture it's kind of taboo right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it should be. But I think we should be able to say like, "Yo, are you good?" Because that's like a clear indicator that something's happening, something's going on.
Yeah, it is, man. I think I can't remember First Timothy 4 or something says that bodily gain profiteth little, but spiritual gain profiteth much. But he did say it profited. Like there's a profit to physical fitness, and I think like I'm not talking bodybuilding, but if you could create the walks, prayer walks, wellness walks,
That's good.
um, awareness walks, like and we're going to walk to bring more awareness to this. Like, hey, y'all, why are y'all walking? Oh, here's our t-shirt. And this is why we're walking. Like, we have a food desert and we want better food options and choices in our community. Whatever it might be. And so, 30-day fast, like, we're going to fast from not working out. Like, we're going to actually, the challenge of 30 minutes a day of exercise. This would be communal. I also would make sure that as a youth worker and as a volunteer, we're not pressuring youth in
That's
a
good.
sense. We're not
Yeah.
pressuring them to,
Don't make them feel bad if they're not ready to participate.
yeah, don't make them feel bad. I think this is about putting out a framework and saying, hey, I want you and the Holy Spirit. I want you to have an honest conversation with yourself and with your community and God. And when you are ready, you actually have a framework to work from. Um, but now let's not act like this is not important.
Yeah,
But I also
absolutely.
do not want to pressure any youth into feeling like they have to become this next
Yeah, or they're
um,
less than because they're
they're
not.
less than because they don't or they don't embrace some of these things and even they don't believe them. Like I don't want people to feel like because they don't believe in this they are on the outskirts or outliers.
That's good.
But it's more about that this is a way, like this is a way to live life. um and there's nothing negative about this, and so this is all beneficial to your life.
Yep, that's good.
So
That's really
I
good.
just think because something, we're talking health and fitness, and the kids look at
Mm-hmm.
themselves all day long in the mirror. They
Mm-hmm.
look at how short they are, how big they are. Um, they don't have this like a friend on their team. Like they are so fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, my youngest daughter's middle school. She runs track, and that I'm sure all of that's going in her head. Like, how is she faster than me? Like, she don't even look faster than me. She just beat me by 2 seconds, or I am faster than everybody, but just as you're faster than everybody, don't mean you stop working.
It's true.
All those things, and so um, this is a very
Well, and that's like to your
visceral
point.
series.
One of the things that always struck me about this, and then I'll ask you the last question, is this idea of training for performance, not for aesthetic. And so, if I work out for what it allows me to do, right? And so, once again, I'll give you an example. Professional soccer player, one of my favorite ones ever, Wayne Rooney, right? Played
Hmm.
for Manchester United, was an incredible player. If you saw him, the dude looked like a bull, right? He wasn't like super ripped, but he was one of the best players to ever play
Mm,
in the Premier League in the UK, right? And so like in order for his body to perform, right, it didn't look like Cristiano Ronaldo, but it was optimally performing, right?
sure, yeah.
And so once again, for everybody in terms of performance and how your body actually looks, it might not be what you see on social media, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I can tell you now, if I get in really good shape, I'm not going to look like that because
Right,
my body's
right.
not like I don't have that type of body type, but I'll still be able to perform the lifts. I'll be able to move quickly. I'll have strength and I'll have power. I'll be able to move functionally. And that's what has to be most important.
Hmm.
And so I think also helping kids understand too, it's not what your body looks like as much as it is what you're giving it the capacity to do by
That's
taking care
good.
of it,
That's
if that makes
good.
sense.
Yeah, because the aesthetics are good, but they don't last.
No. And it's not what's
The
important.
It's not what's important. The aesthetics, I'm on stage, so it's all about aesthetics.
Correct.
But I know that it does. That's why we call it in bodybuilding. We call it peak week, because you have a week of peak look. Like, you can only look that like that for so long till you're, even when I get down and I'm shredded, like we call it sliced and diced, and I'm shredded wheat, and you can see vascularity, veins, and all kind of stuff. It actually isn't that healthy. You can't live like that
You can't
forever.
sustain it.
You can't sustain it. Like, literally, your body needs fat. You got fat actually works for a lot of different resources in your body, and
Your
so
brain's fat.
your brain is fatty tissue. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
I remember one time in bodybuilding, my coach told me, like, "Hey man, your feet are gonna start hurting." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because you have a lot of fat deposits in your feet, but once you get to a deficit, you have no more fat on your feet." And my feet started hurting, and I couldn't wait to get fat on my feet so they wouldn't hurt no more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's crazy.
it's
So
crazy. And so, to that point, aesthetics they're good, but they do not last.
mm,
Performance is what you really want because it's sustainable.
yep,
It's
100%.
sustainable, and I love what you said. It's functional.
Yep.
This is about, what I want the youth to embrace is like being strong functionally. Your knees, your hips, your lower back, your shoulders. We use this stuff all the time. Picking up
Correct.
your backpack,
Yep.
getting out of your chair.
Yep.
When you slip and fall and clown yourself in front of everybody, those things are functional movements
Yep.
that I want our youth and our communities to be
Be able to
strong
perform.
for,
Yep. 100%.
and have that for the rest of their lives.
Last question for you. Where do you see and how do you see opportunities to like really share the gospel in this series? Like how do you
Mm.
see that tying itself in, and where do youth leaders have opportunities to kind of clearly share like who Jesus is?
Oof, you threw that one on me. Um, the, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like, if not for a greater purpose in the gospel, then it's meaningless.
It's good.
That I should not care about who I am and what happens to me and what I eat. I should I should live for taste and pleasure. Um, but that's not what fish. That's not what you are. Fish live like that. Like, I don't know if you ever heard this quote that fish only live to eat. Like, they just eat all day long. That's all they do, until they die. And we are not fish. Like, we are greater than that. We have purpose, and in that, the way we find that purpose is through the gospel. And the
It's good.
gospel gives us that reason to live, that meaningful existence, that is not just you got saved to get to heaven, but you got saved to bring heaven down to earth.
It's good.
And you can do that more when you're taking care of yourself. And so the gospel makes it meaningful, and it has a redemptive quality to your mind, your body, why your body exists, especially in an urban setting when there's a lot of conversation and a lot of, you know uh, chatter about it's meaningless. It don't
Mm,
matter.
mm,
You might as well just accept what you have. You might as well just accept who you are. But the gospel says there's so much more to you that you can experience.
That's good.
So I think the you versus you tied in the gospel is that there's a redemptive quality to your body. There's a redemptive purpose to why you live and why you exist. That we're here on purpose.
That's good. That's good, bro. Thank you. I appreciate you being willing to
Yeah.
sit down and chop about the series. I know we got one or two more to talk about too, so I look forward to that.
Same.
But anyways, Real Talk community, grateful for, or should I say Reframe community? Real Talk community is the podcast. So if you haven't heard that, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
It's on the YouTube channel. But Reframe community, grateful for you guys. Hopefully this was helpful, useful. Questions, comments, concerns, as always, hit us up. You know where to find us. We love you. We will talk to you again soon. Peace.
Peace.